You're looking at Aven Colony. It's coming out later this month, and as you can see, it's basically SimCity in space. I had a play of it. Let's find out some more. Hello, my name's Colin Campbell. I'm with Polygon. You're looking at Aven Colony from Team 17. It's coming out later this month on Windows PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I spent a few hours with the game this week getting to grips with its various mechanics, and you can see from that bottom bar there's quite a lot going on here, as you'd expect with one of these city planning type games. The story is pretty simple. You are in charge of these various colonies in space, and there are different types of planets that you can explore, and your job is to create a working, functioning city that feeds itself, that trades, and that is able to avoid becoming defunct by everybody dying, which tends to happen in space if things don't go well. So in this is the sort of second map in the campaign.
That's right. Expedition time. Ding, ding, ding.
So you're slightly douchey guy there giving me a new instruction, and actually having played it 3 or 4 of these campaign maps, I have to say that the tutorial is very, very good. I mean, it kind of holds your hand a little bit, but when there's so much going on, that really isn't such a bad thing. I sort of appreciated how many of the tools are available in this game so that you don't get lost. So at this point, I'm creating, for the first time, I've come across this building, which is a sort of exploration hub, where I'll be able to sort of build spacecraft that can hover around on the planet itself. There are other buildings that you can create which will trade with other networks. So there's a building that's really important early on, which is an immigration center so that you can attract people. But as we're often with these games, everything is interlinked, and so if I want to build say a mine, then I'm going to have to build a factory that creates these drones that can only go so far and that can reach the mine. And so all the time you're thinking about ways in which to maximize or the efficiency of the constructs that you're making. And that goes as well for the roads. They're actually tunnels which connect everything together. And so far I haven't really gotten all the intricacies of how that works, and how you know when you've played these games like SimCity and you think you're doing a good job, and then you get to sort of late game and you realize that you've really messed everything up and you're going to have to go back in order to make it just right. Well, that I haven't got to that yet, and I sort of hope that is a part of the game, because I think that's the best part of these things, in that you want perfection. That's what you're always striving for. You're striving for the most perfectly functioning city that you can find. And so if in this occasion the air quality is not good, it may be that I've built things in the wrong places, and I could have avoided having to build these air ducts. I mean, it may well be that that's not the case, and all I have to do is build air ducts. I'll be disappointed if that's the case, because it's always about, these games should be about forward planning, forward thinking, learning about the environments, rather than just seeing it there's a problem and throwing a building down to fix it, and making sure that you've got all the utensils available, all the tools available to do the job. So looking at some of these things along the bottom there, you can see, I mean, it probably looks completely baffling to begin with, but they, like I say, they do hold your hand. But the things that you need are food. You can build farms. You need water, and so you build water pumps. You need electricity, so you build power plants. And you need the building blocks to build things, and so you build mines and you build processing factories that will turn that stuff into building blocks. And then you need places for your little people to live. You need ways to keep them happy. Here's a list of I guess I was just checking if I knew anybody. Here's a list of all the people that I've attracted, and after a while they'll get unhappy. I mean, if you don't feed them enough, or there's not enough water, of course they're going to get unhappy. If the air quality is bad, they're going to get unhappy. I'll come back to this in a minute. Here is the exploration center, which I figured out you could just create these sort of chained events and go out and let the ship do its business, and then let it come back, and I'd collect all the rewards. So really it's just sort of showing you how all these different functions work. There's also trade. This guy with his sort of implausible accent, he pops up every now and again, and he says, oh hey, I've got a bunch of this stuff, or I need a bunch of that stuff, and on some of the maps trade is more important than on others. So for example, there's a map after this one where there was just no farms, and so you have to find the best way of trading your sort of ore materials for like corn and wheat and things like that. There are also ways in which you can farm either inedible substances like wheat, which you can then turn into bread by building a mill, or even more complicated, you find these weird alien spores and crops which you know you could then turn into other interesting objects which your people will find pleasing. There's other stuff that you have to worry about as usual with these games, like hospitals, police centres, shopping centres, and you know, all that sort of stuff. So as the game progresses, what draws you into it, or what I found drew me into it, was, oh, here's another problem that I have to solve, and here's another way that I can make my city just that little bit more perfect and just that little bit less inefficient. And that's how these games work. They sort of hook you in. And hopefully I'll be reviewing this game later on in the month. I'll be able to find out whether there's more to it than that. You know, I want to feel as if I'm exploring myself in a funny sort of way. Like I'm being challenged to figure out difficult problems rather than just simply having to sort of press buttons in order to fix things. And I talked about this recently when I did a video on Oxygen Not Included, which I loved. It's a similar sort of game, although it's a sideways perspective. You're in space, but you've got all these really interesting problems to solve, and you sort of inch forward bit by bit. You learn the hard way how not to do things, and eventually you figure out the best way to create your environment. And that's what I want to see from this game here. And you can see that they do give you quite a lot of tools. You know, there's all these overlays that allow you to see the most efficient way forward. Here, for example, you know, this is a dry planet. Should I plant quinoa or should I plant watermelons? Well, you know, go figure. And you know, I might end up with a surfeit of quinoa. Do you notice how I can say that right? I'm really proud of myself. And then you know, you can trade for watermelons. And at the level I was playing, it was reasonably kind in terms of the trading conditions. The people do have to be kept amused and happy, especially obviously as the cities get bigger and bigger. This one is fairly small, and what I was found interesting and challenging here was trying to make the most of these small kind of green patches where I can grow food, and trying to sort of edge my way outwards towards those all-important resources where I can mine stuff out of the ground and, you know, trade it or use it to build things. One of the problems that I did come across in the way that I played was I underestimated the amount of buildings for any particular problem. Like I was like, there's an air problem, or I'm not manufacturing enough. I'm building blocks, and here's a couple of, I'll throw a couple of buildings in there. But actually, it tends to ask for quite a lot more than that. And so the best thing is to sort of like just slightly overdo it with the buildings that you're creating. So I've enjoyed the game so far. I'm gonna leave it for a few weeks until the review, the final review version. It's been out on beta for a while, and so we'll see what people have to say about it, how they feel about the game so far. So far, I feel as if there's enough complexity to keep me intrigued. The big question is there enough depth to sustain this game beyond that, the sort of like early and middle novelty areas, towards that kind of late game real satisfaction of feeling as if you're dealing with a sort of living organism of a city. So as I say, this game is coming out at the end of July. We look forward to seeing it. It's called Aven Colony. My name's Colin Campbell, and you can read more about this on Polygon. All the best.